Karen Ziti. It's the last one she made.
Well, baked Ziti, it's an easy comfort food to make, but I'm gonna show you a version which is, let's call it elevated. We could call it date night Ziti if you so want to. Some of the differences that we are doing will give this better texture, better flavor. One of the things we're doing, we're not using Ziti actually, we're using Rigatoni. And the reason for that is it has a larger diameter, and that means it holds more sauce. And that is something you want. The bigger the tube, the more the sauce. So rigatoni it is today. And then we are using 4 different kinds of cheeses. So it's quattro formaggio. It's all of what you can get out of this, plus some specialty spices that we will go through as we go along. But we start out with bacon. If you want to take this even a notch higher, you could go with cubed guanciale, but I don't have any, so I'm going with bacon. 300 grams of it. Sounds like a lot, but don't worry, it isn't. That is absolutely perfect for this. This goes into a cold pan because we want to slowly render out the fat and crispen up the meat parts here. So in it goes, and we fire this up on low, medium low, and then we're gonna let that render out slowly until it gets nice and crispy and we have a nice bacon fat base to make our sauce from. And when everything is nice and foamy like this and the fat has rendered out, then, and you see how much fat we have left over here, that's just fantastic for frying the onions. Now we're gonna take out our bacon and onto a piece of kitchen towel so it crispens up nicely. This is gonna give nice texture when we serve that later to have these little crumbly bits there. And now in the same pot, you see all that nice font we have there? That is flavor. Now we're gonna go in with a whole white onion diced. And again, we're gonna do this on relatively low temperature. We want it to sweat. We don't want to burn the onions. So we are gonna let that enjoy itself here in the bacon fat while it softens up. And these, they're nice and soft. And they almost lifted up the font, but we will deal with that in a bit. Then I'm gonna go in with some spices. Look, my cute little mortar and pestle. But instead of black pepper, I'm going in with bourbon black pepper.
Ooh.
So we are making it a little bit,
punch.
we are fancying it up a little bit, but I want this to fry a little bit, so I put this first. Then I'm gonna go in with a teaspoon of fennel seed. Be very careful with that. You don't want too much of it, but you want that hit of anise in the background. If you don't have fennel seeds, give it a splash of ouzo. That works just as well. And then it's garlic. I can use the same spoon. 3 cloves of garlic, crushed. They go in. And now we want to fry this just 20 seconds. And while that fries, I'm also going to hit it with a pinch of salt. But since we are putting a lot of cheese later, be careful with the salt level. But we will get to that point. And that is now smelling nicely of garlic. We don't want to burn that, that's for sure. 4 tablespoons of good tomato paste goes in also. And we want to mix this in, and then we want to fry it until the tomato paste starts to get some color and loses that raw. You can actually smell it, and you can see it also when it starts changing color. And you definitely want to do this with your tomato paste. It's a must.
That smells really nice.
It does. And you can smell the bourbon pepper. So this smells good. Move this a little bit to the side. And then we're going to give it, I just decided, a hit of Marsala, which is an Italian semi-dry wine, but it's very good. You should also use it in chicken masala, very good. just
Deglaze the rest there.
just a splash. I don't want much, but just to cook off the fond in the bottom,
Yeah.
which will take nothing more than 20-30 seconds to make the alcohol go away. But you see now the fond is all clear, so we have all those flavors lifted from our pot. Now we have an ultra flavorful tomato paste here, but we're not done, because we are going to add not half a liter, but I would say 1 cup, 250 milliliter of beef stock to this.
Homemade.
Homemade beef stock, obviously. That has to be homemade. And we mix that in, and we let that simmer for 5 minutes maybe, till it reduces a little bit and gets a little bit thicker than it is right now. Now it's a little bit thin because of the beef stock. Let that reduce a bit, and then we're going to have an excellent base for our meat sauce. Very, very aromatic. You have no idea. You should be here right now. Smell-o-vision isn't invented. But let that go for 5, and I'll see you. And when this is nice and reduced, as you can see here, quite thick, then we're going to take this out. And we're going to keep using the same pot. Don't worry about that, because that's actually the easy part about this recipe, because it's sort of a 1 pot kind of deal. 2 pot. But, okay. We take this out quickly. And then straight up, let me taste the sauce. That's good stuff. In the same pot, doesn't matter that there's a little bit tomato left, that's perfectly fine, because anyway we're going to mix all of this together, but we need to brown our meat. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of neutral vegetable oil, not a lot. My beef is 90-10, should have been 80-20, but it doesn't matter. It will still taste good, and especially because of the way we're going to deal with it now. So all of this goes straight in, 1.5 kilo, straight in, and then we spread it out a little bit here, so it gets flat. And then we are going to step away and let the bottom brown up. There we are, nice and flat. And we crank up the heat. And we let that brown up in the bottom. And then we're going to give this, by the way, highly recommended tool for making minced meat. I love it, not sponsored in any way. Fantastic product. But let that brown up before we start using that bad boy. And when it starts smelling nice of grilled beef, we flip this over, and you see, that's what. You want to let it go that far. Don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
Let
you
me take it over.
crust,
That far, because that's what we're looking for here. We are not looking for gray, we're looking for brown. So we flip it over, we let it go a little bit further. And as that goes, we start breaking it down. Like you would a bolognese or something in that. But you want to get those brown bits on the corner, and we are going to go even further, because now as we break it up, the meat is going to start releasing water. And then we let it go until all the water has evaporated and it starts frying again. And this is one of the important points of building up flavor in a dish like this. And now we let this go. I will keep pounding this a little bit. Now this is nice and broken down, all of it, and it's been cooking for some time. Now if I remove it here, I don't know if you can see from the top camera from the smoke, but we have very little water coming out here. So what I'm going to do, because it's not brown enough yet, not even a little bit, I'm going to add a pinch of salt to draw out the rest of the water that helps it to get out, so we can
faster, right?
Exactly, and then we can get a little bit of that Maillard effect. We don't want to burn it, obviously, but you want to get some browning, so you get that Maillard effect that gives super flavor in this. If you take it at this point, it will taste good, but it won't taste fantastic. Well, and when we start getting these brown bits, don't know if you can see, but that's what you want to see. But don't take it much further than this, because then it starts getting,
Yeah, I don't like it more.
You want to have some brown bits there, like 5-10%, maybe a little bit more. And you can smell it also. It smells like when you are making crust on a steak. Then I'm going to go in with 4 cans of 400 grams or 14 ounce each of crushed tomatoes. That goes in. I might add a little bit more, but we will see the consistency. And then our beautiful tomato paste we made before, which smells still amazing. That goes in. And basically, that's it. We mix this up, and then we have one final ingredient for our meat sauce. I might add one more can of tomato, but we will see if I want it to be. Yeah, I think we will. We will put one more can, pretty certain.
So we have plenty of juice for the pasta.
Yeah, exactly. And probably also that last cup of beef stock I had, because anyway, that's just good flavor.
Always.
But let this start simmering. As I said, I will add one more can of tomato, but 2 tablespoons of fresh rosemary, finely chopped. That has to go in at this point. Again, we're still not adding any salt. We will taste for salt at the very end of this, but as I said, we add a little bit more liquid to this, and then we're going to let this simmer away for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And yes, we added a bit of tomato, and as you can see, this is the consistency you are looking for. Now we're going to let this simmer away on low under a lid, and then we are going to prepare the rest of the things for the assembly. For the cheeses, we have here half a kilo of mozzarella freshly grated, 300 grams of pecorino romano, and 200 grams of parmigiano reggiano. All of it freshly grated and mixed up, so that would be a nice cheese layer. For our fresh cheese, you would use mascarpone. But we are going with the Greek version called misithra, and I have here half a kilo. But that's almost half a kilo. That's a little bit more than a pound. And then I'm going to go in with a couple of tablespoons of fresh basil, which has been finely chopped. I want to mix that in to give that nice basil aroma to our cheese. And do the same if it's mascarpone. Don't make any mistakes there. The basil is going to make this fantastic. And while this is simmering, we are going to boil our rigatoni. Boil it in heavily salted water 1 to 2 minutes, less of the package instructions, so that it's not overcooked, because we are going to bake it in the oven. But you see, mascarpone, misithra, with basil, fantastic. That's it, so the aromas, they can combine. And then I'm going to go boil some pasta and see you for the assembly. Everything is ready. My rigatoni is boiled, as I said, 1-2 minutes shy of the package instructions. By the way, this is 1 kilo, which would be a little bit more than 2 pounds of pasta. I have preserved some of the pasta water from the end of the boil, because there we have a lot of the starch. And that starch, we want to add that to the sauce so that the sauce sticks nicely to the pasta. So yeah, when you bite into it, it doesn't run off after we bake it. So this goes straight into the pot. Whoopty. Like that.
Barely is going to fit there.
No, it fits nicely. It's going to get it into the sauce. It doesn't need to be, because we're not going to cook it anymore in this pot. This will be fine. We're just going to mix this up. Going to give it a ladle or 2 of this. As I said, that will help, like when you do a pasta sauce. Exactly. And now we want to mix this good, so everything is nice and coated. And then I'll get my oven pot, and we are ready for assembly. Well, we are in a predicament here, because we have 1.6, 1.5, 1.6 kilos of beef, a kilo of pasta, and this oven pot, I believe, is too small. But that will not work. And then we have this one, which might be too big. I need to buy more cookware.
No way! I don't have more cupboards.
Anyway, an oven pot, a little bit of oil, butter, whatever you want, but grease it up so it doesn't stick. And then we start out with a layer of our pasta meat mixture. No, I think this pot will be fine, actually.
Well, we can always move to the other if we see.
No, but on the other hand, you don't either want this to be too tall, because then it's not easy or nice for serving either.
Plus, I don't want you to spill all over the oven. So better be,
That's another point, because when it starts bubbling in the oven, then it has a tendency to spill over. And actually, that's why I bought this extra deep oven pot, as you can see here.
Exactly.
So, to not have that issue. Make a nice layer, measure about half of this. That's the what we want. Oh, this will be fine. It's good, don't worry.
Okay.
That's good. I forgot to mention that when it was boiling, I just tasted the meat sauce and I gave it like half a tablespoon of salt. I didn't shoot it, but taste it, give it the salt it needs. Then we are gonna go in with some dollops of our nice ricotta, misitra, call it what you want.
Mascarpone.
Mascarpone.
Not
that's-
ricotta.
Not ricotta, sorry.
Well,
That's your fault. That's your fault. Because you were the one who said, she said, this is not misitra. Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay, it's the fresh type.
No,
Yeah.
it's
But I
not.
taste that on the crackers. It was fantastic with the aromatic herbs. Really nice.
And about half again. And then we're going in with half of our cheese mixture. And that's where you need the mozzarella, the freshly grated mozzarella, because that gives that cheese pull that is so fantastic. So you could, of course, use Gruyere or something like that, but no. And the pecorino romano, I wanted to say. It's sometimes difficult. But it is a cheesy kind of dish. But that's because if you compare this to, let's say, lasagna or the Greek pasticcio, there is no bechamel here. This is cheese.
Well, I love bechamel, so let's see if that kicks equally us.
I think that's about half. And then I'm going to continue with the rest of this in the second layer here on top. Fill it all up. And then we're going to put the final touches there with the rest of the cheese. It's going to be good. Actually, the oven pot was the perfect size. So
Yes, after all.
then here we go again. Dollops of this beautiful, as my wife
If there
said,
is left over, I can eat it with my crackers.
there isn't. Well, as my wife said, we tried it on a couple of crackers. It's absolute just this.
Really nice with the herbs.
Yeah. Just a bit of basil,
Great
you know.
cheese, actually great dip if you have a dinner or something.
Yeah. This is fantastic.
Very
So-
nice.
And of course,
That's quite cheesy.
yes, it's 4 cheeses, so it's.
Wow. But which one is more calorific, let's say, these cheeses or the bechamel? Or
The cheeses.
equally?
It depends on the layer because we usually do quite a thick layer of bechamel.
Bechamel is fantastic.
But it also depends what you use in your bechamel. This goes in the oven, middle rack, 180 degrees, about half an hour. When the cheese is nice and golden, I'll show you what we're looking for. 30 minutes in, and it's looking absolutely fabulous.
Let's see. Ooh.
See, that is a beautiful pan of baked ziti. Let me get it out here so you can see. Can you hear the sizzle?
Guess we
That is
can-
fantastic. And the smell of cheese in the air, it's amazing. The hard part is that we have to let it rest now a little bit. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, otherwise you can't cut it. It's too warm. Then we are going to plate it up nicely, shoot a few thumbnails, and then I'll see you at the taste test. Well, look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Yes,
I
it
mean,
is.
baked Ziti / rigatoni, crunchy bacon, bit of small leaf basil. That's actually a thing here because you get these big basil leaves. These small leaf basils that we have here in Greece, they are so much more aromatic. They're fantastic, actually. But now, the moment of truth. Of course, we've tasted the sauce for salt and this, that, the other. But baked with all the cheeses, it's there we are. Cheese.
That's cheesy.
It's quite cheesy, actually. But it's good for your cholesterol.
Always. I want to know, if it's better than lasagna, for instance.
Make this for your wife, and she will forgive you for any bullshit you have done. This is food for the soul. It's absolutely amazing, and it's a perfect balance between, and trust me, the rigatoni is the right way to go. The bigger diameter there gives, and it's a perfect balance of texture and flavor. What can I say? Just give it a shot, make it, you're gonna love it.